Really quickly before we get into this video, I just want to say a huge thank you for all the support on the last video. That's by far my best performing video, and I'm shocked. It was a really great video. Thank you to all the new people who watched, thank you to all the old people who still watched, and get ready for some more content because next week we'll be putting out another temple analysis, this time on the Child Dungeons of Ocarina of Time. With that being said, let's get right into the video. 3D Mario is quite possibly my favorite genre of gaming, and it has some of my absolute favorite games of all time. Specifically though, today we'll be taking a look at one specific galaxy in Super Mario Galaxy, and that galaxy is Gusty Gardens Galaxy. Don't worry, at the end of the video I will tally up how many times I use the word galaxy, so stay tuned for that. Just like in my Stone Tower video, which again, thank you guys so much for the support on that one by the way, I'll be taking a look at almost every single aspect that has to deal with Gusty Gardens. I'll take a look at some of the things that lead into Gusty Gardens, and then when we take a look at the galaxy itself, I'll go through each individual star and then give it a rating out of 10. At the end of talking about each star, I'll take the mean value of all the stars, and that will be the galaxy's score out of 10. Spoiler alert though, I actually do think that Gusty Gardens is a bit overrated, and the only thing that people like about it is its song, which, don't get me wrong, is an amazing song. But even still, there has to be some substance to each star in order for it to be considered an all-timer galaxy for me. Anyway, let's quit the yapping and let's get right into the Jickbean Gusty Garden analysis. In the Comet Observatory, there's a bunch of different domes that you can go into which hold different galaxies. The specific dome that has Gusty Gardens is the fourth one you unlock, being the bedroom. I don't really know why Rosalina gives you free access to her bedroom, but I mean, who's gonna complain? There are 6 stars in Gusty Gardens, 3 main stars, 2 prankster comets, and 1 secret star. We're going to be starting out with the first star, which is Bunnies in the Wind. The main aesthetic of Gusty Gardens Galaxy has to deal with how green everything is. A lot of plant life is very clearly present here, and it's very visually appealing. The design of the first star does a great job at introducing you to the land of Gusty Gardens. There's these little grass and dirt-like planets that you get to walk all around on, but while they look really nice, they are pretty small and don't have a lot of things to do on them. The main way you travel between each planet is pretty cool though. There's these flowers that when you spin attack float up in the air and you can grab onto them as well as fly around. You can also spin up to 3 times to get a nice little height boost before the flower whittles away. On the underside of the second planet, there's a few enemies and a pipe we can go in. In it is a question mark circle, I don't really know what these are called, and it nets us a whole lot of star bits. Also, while gliding around, there's a bunch of question mark circles to get and follow, which get us even more star bits. On the third planet, there's a few enemies on it and a 1-up we can get before moving on to a few seed-shaped planets. On each one of them, there's a bunch of piranha plants which spawn vines that you can ride around to the other planets. There's even a 1-up to get after defeating this big purple lad. On the last of these seed planets, there's another big purple lad which we can defeat to get a launch star and go on to the final planet of this star. The final planet has us chase a little star bunny around a cube-shaped hedge maze. I'm not going to go too in-depth on the planet yet because there's a star later on that showcases this planet a lot better. This little bunny catching mission is very simple and can be completed in just a few seconds to net us our first star of Gusty Gardens. I'd rate this star as 7 out of 10 as it's not too bad but honestly stops before it gets going, and the way you get the star is fun, but it is pretty easy. On to our next star, and this one is called the Dirty Tricks of Major Burrows. This star also starts out the exact same way as the last one, but this time there's a bunch of things we can ground pound, which is going to help explain what we need to do on the boss fight against Major Burrows later on. Once again, there's the flowers you can fly on, along with the question mark circles to collect. There's even another pipe to go in on the underside of the second planet, but this time there's a rainbow star to collect and destroy a bunch of enemies with. You can even see more bunnies roaming around each planet, which I think is a nice touch. The third planet this time has a bunch of undergrunts, which you defeat by ground pounding around them, causing them to come up and be defeated by a spin attack. Again, this star keeps on building up how you're going to defeat the boss, and I really like that. On the next planet we do the exact same thing as the last, but this time there's more undergrunts, and we're doing it on a question mark shaped planet. Next is a really weird thing that only happens a handful of times in the Galaxy games, and that's an optional planet along the main path. While flying through a launch star, there's some pole stars we can grab onto to come over to this infested planet. There's not really much to do here, just a bunch of starbits to collect before we move on to a bunch of apples in the sky. On these apples, there's some wood we can stomp on, and when we do, a worm pops out. There are 3 different apples we get to do this on, but I always like completely skipping the last one with a nifty little triple jump. The next planet is very small and has a few spiky vines to avoid, but mainly this planet is used to get some extra life right before the boss. Speaking of the boss, for this star we have to save this little star bunny from Major Burrows. It works very much like how we fought the underlings earlier, just a nice little ground pound and then a use of a spin attack. It's a very short fight and not too challenging, but don't worry if you love him, cause we'll see Major Burrows back before you know it. I'll give the star an 8 out of 10 as I absolutely love this star, it just has an underwhelming boss fight. On to our final main star for Gusty Garden's Galaxy, we have Gusty Garden's Gravity Scramble. And oh boy is this one just a little bit silly. Just like the past couple of stars, we start off with a very similar planet, but underneath this one there are some coin coffer-like creatures who give 20 star bits when destroyed. After messing with them though, it's back to basics, and there's a secret star in this level that I'll talk about later on. But you know the drill by now, we get to glide on the flowers to each and every planet. There's not too much new stuff going on so far, and going from planet to planet isn't too engaging. But then once we hit this launch star, we get something a little bit different. We have to traverse through some spiky plants and rolling rocks, which is a nice change of pace from what we were doing previously. There's even a golden chain chomp, but we'll get to that later in the video. But here's where this star starts to blow, cause I mean, look at this! There's nothing that makes me think of Gusty Gardens here. It feels so much more futuristic over here, and while that would be fine if the other stars mixed in some of this, but they don't. Anyway, what we have to do first is get 5 shards to a launch star, which isn't too challenging, and launch ourselves over to the next section. This terrain that's used here I don't think is seen in any other Galaxy game, and that's what makes this star weird. You're supposed to hit these levers in order to switch gravity so you can get to the other sides of the planet. There's also these launchers shooting a bunch of crap at you, and they actually get a bit challenging to avoid. But right when you think this part's getting somewhere, boom, the star's right there. In case you can't tell, I have mad beef with this level, and I think it is so stupid for not keeping up with the design of the other stars. It gets a 6 out of 10 for not being bad, but being pretty dumb. Now let's quickly talk about the secret star. Basically, all you have to do is collect every single question mark circle while gliding with the flowers. After you do all of that, you get to use a rainbow star for the rolling rock section. Make it all the way to the end of that planet and run right through the golden chain chomp in order to get the star. Very simple but very creative, so I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I know that might be a little high, but I just love this star. It's time now to go on over to the prankster comments. First up we have Major Burrows' Daredevil Run. All this one is the Major Burrows fight, but this time you can get hit or else it's back to the bone orchard. Just like how he was earlier, and it's just an underwhelming fight, so this star gets a 5 out of 10. The next prankster comment is so much better though. It's just a simple purple coin mission and we get to go back to the hedge maze cube from the very first star. There's more than 100 to collect in the first place, so this one isn't nearly as stressful as a lot of other purple coin stars tend to be. You also get to walk around all this greenery and even get to go in an underground burrow. There's also all these platforms that have a bunch of other purple coins on, and they give this whole hedge maze personality. While this star is very basic, especially for a purple coin mission, I think it's still a very fun one due to the design of the hedge maze. Overall, a really enjoyable purple coin mission. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 because of how much fun it is to go around the hedge maze and collect every single purple coin. But now before we get to the definitive rating of Gusty Gardens and how many times I said Galaxy, we have to talk about the music. I love how it starts out with a big band sound, but then just transitions into a bunch of string instruments going at it. Then eventually the song keeps getting grander and grander. It is obviously a phenomenal song, but I feel that it honestly would have fit a more grand Galaxy. Maybe a more peaceful song would have fit for Gusty Gardens, but I still love the theme anyway. Due to the nature of how I am going to do the rating of Gusty Gardens Galaxy, it receives an 8.6 out of 10 on the Jickbean Galaxy scale. Overall, not a horrible Galaxy by any means necessary, but I do still feel that it's a bit overrated. Heck, I don't even think it's the best Galaxy in its own dome, but who knows, maybe that can be discussed on a different day. I'm sorry that this video is on the shorter side, but after the success of my last analysis video, I wanted to definitely get another one out as soon as possible. Once again though, thank you guys so much for the support on the last video. It absolutely means the world to me, and I hope I can keep making quality content for you guys in the future. If you guys have any ideas on ways that I can thank you in videos for the support, just let me know in the comments. I really enjoyed taking a look at one of my favorite games ever, and while I got to cover the Galaxy that I don't really like too much, sorry Gusty Gardens fans, I still had a great time doing it, and it's not a bad Galaxy by any means. And finally, I said the word Galaxy 19 times in this video just in case you were wondering. I know most of you weren't. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed. Be sure to like and subscribe if you did. At 500 subs, I'll share my top 10 games of all time, and have a great rest of your day.